I decided to run a background check on myself this morning for ammunition. I'm an FFL dealer, I'm a licensed dealer in the state of New York, and I'm a pistol permit holder. I am on delay for about 45 minutes now. We'll let you know how that works out today, all right? I'd like to introduce Alex Shea, came all the way up from West Virginia, a representative from Gun Owners of America, who are on our behalf or filed a lot of lawsuits against the state of New York, and we really appreciate it, and we need to support them. Alex?
How's everybody doing out there today? All right, that's what I'm talking about. We got one person out there. Well, my name is Alex Shea, and I'm the West Virginia State Director for Gun Owners of America. I also work with donors and relationship specialists for marketing. But the most important thing that I do is that I try very hard to communicate how important advocacy is to the Second Amendment movement. So not so long ago, or maybe too long ago, I guess 20 years is a long time ago, I was a very young man making waffles in home ec class. And this was in high school, and that was on September 11th, 2001. And when those towers got hit, I knew exactly what I needed to do. And I pretty much left that day and joined the Army. And then when I graduated at 18, I shipped out and went on to a 10-year military career as a combat medic in the United States Army. And I served for 15 months in beautiful sunny Bakuba, Iraq with the 202nd Military Police Company. But it was only when I was here at an incredible barbershop called Classic Cuts in Ulster, and I was talking to them, and they had the Constitution on the wall and an American flag cape to cut my hair, and they had the CCW sticker on the side of their building. And I had never been this far north before. I don't really come this far above the Mason-Dixon, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the people of New York were going to be like. I definitely had my own preconceptions, but I never in a million years would have guessed that I would be so embraced or so loved by some people who had never seen me before and never knew that I jumped up as a teenager to stand up for New York. And it only occurred to me then, and it almost brought me to tears, that I was back. And I flew in to New York on September 11th this year, just 2 days ago, to be here to save New York again. Now, I don't know if this is going to be as dramatic as the last one. I hope not. But certainly, there's a calling for people to help people. And that's what I want to bring to you. I want to make sure that if you're going to do something, I want you to get active. I want you to tell your friends. I want you to take QR codes and brochures and sign them up, because when you get those national alerts and those state alerts, that's going to keep you calm, cool, collected, and confident in your ability to understand and communicate that message to your fellow man or fellow woman, friend or family member, because sometimes they don't know. And most of the time they don't know, because the mainstream media does an incredible job of suppressing this majority. And that's what this is. We are the silent majority. We are the folks who believe. Now, I've spoken, every single person I've spoken to in New York so far who has figured out what I'm here to do has told me, like, Alex, oh my gosh, you have no idea. There's so many hunters here. There's so many competitive shooters. There's so many people, but they just don't vote. They just don't get up and they don't go out. They feel they're black-pilled. They feel like it's all lost. They don't know. Well, I tell them, I'm like, hey, listen, I have definitely been in situations where I felt that the odds were insurmountable, where I thought that all was lost. But that's when you have to fight the hardest. So if you can, get active, volunteer, organize, communicate, have your own meetings, read books. Dan Waz is a renowned Second Amendment author. Matt Mallory hosting the Meet the Pressers. Those are shows and books and things that you can do, engage people, follow, share, get on the GOA website and get that material. So Volunteer if you can. If you can't volunteer, I need you to fund it. I need you to donate. I need you to get your friends and family to donate. And I need you to do that because I would much rather have you physically active and physically engaging and communicating with people. That's in a perfect world, but this isn't a perfect world. People have jobs, people are busy, and sometimes people just don't want to get involved, and that's okay. If you still believe in freedom, but you don't want to be on the boots on the ground fighting, fund it. And if you can't fund it, then you have to stop funding tyranny. I don't know what that means to you, but to me it means not drinking certain coffees from certain companies that fund tyranny, and that's why I drink Blackout coffee. So Blackout coffee has a no compromise blend. We have some sample bags back there, and no compromise blend is incredible, and every time a bag of that is sold from Blackout coffee, they give us $2. And it's relationships like that, it's ingenuity like that that's going to get us from where we are in this particular situation to where we need to be, because we have been complacent for too long. We have been sitting back and resting on our laurels for so long that it's gotten like this. This is where we are because this is America. It could never happen here. I don't believe that it could, but now we're on this precipice, and it's when this is the turning point in history that we need you to either get up or get out. We need you to put up or shut up. And that's not trying to call anyone out, but I'm saying that there are a couple 100,000 registered concealed carry holders, but only like 8% of that number actually votes in the elections. And trust me, where this is not specifically a New York issue, this is a United States of America issue. I want to get you guys motivated. I want to get you out there. I want to make sure that you have what you need when you need it when it comes to information, organization, and getting the information that you need to support and fund freedom. As the saying goes, it is always darkest before the dawn. So it's actually because of the great state of New York that we have been making the most incredible gains in the Second Amendment since they wrote the Second Amendment. So since the British were here, this point in history is the most ground we've ever gained in terms of the Second Amendment. So that was NYSERPA versus Bruin. And NYSERPA versus Bruin set the precedent that we have to measure it through tradition, history, and text. So because of that, laws are getting struck down that were never even questioned before. So here we find ourselves in New York, and they're trying to press this incredibly tyrannical background check system where it's $9 for every rifle, pistol, bolt gun, everything, and then $250 for ammunition. But even on the federal level, the 4473 has a number of questions that are now in serious jeopardy. The question of, are you allowed to be a user of a controlled substance? That is probably going to be slapped down and stricken from the 4473. It's also going to eliminate the indictment clause on the 4473. So there's a question that says, have you been indicted? You can indict anything. You can indict a ham sandwich. You haven't gone through due process. So that question is kind of garbage in its face, but it was never questioned before. Now that we're looking at text, history, and tradition, we are slapping that down. There's also additional things that we have going on throughout the United States. In St. Louis, Missouri, the mayor of St. Louis, Missouri just arbitrarily got up one day and said, we're going to make this entire city a gun-free zone, which flies in the face of the Constitution, and more so, it's against the law in Missouri. So in Missouri, with the help of GOA and other Second Amendment groups, that Second Amendment sanctuary law that they have, in addition to their preemption laws, have successfully slapped that down. And then you have whatever is going on in New Mexico. I don't even truly understand. That is hot, fresh off the presses. But that governor just decided to temporarily suspend all concealed carry. So that obviously is not going to stand. The sheriffs have stood up against it. GOA's already got a lawsuit against that. And it won't stand. So a lot of the things that we have are coming down the pipeline. Different clients, different people having different standing are now coming forward, and we're going to make more progress now than we have in the past 70 years. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And right now, we ain't squeaking, so we ain't getting the grease. Okay, so we have to organize here. Never, ever, ever let them take away your passion. Never let them take away your fight. Do not be black-pilled. I need you to get involved. I need you to get as many people involved as you can. I know I keep repeating that, but the most important thing that you're going to take away from today is don't get discouraged. I need you to get active, volunteer. I need you to donate if you can. If you can't do that, I need you to be well-read and very articulate in your ability to communicate not only with other people to get them to join the fight, but I need you to be articulate and poignant in your ability to communicate to your politicians. Because when you go up there and you say, hey man, I need you to step off my 2A rights, that doesn't mean anything to them. They don't know what you mean, but when you say, Congressman, I need you to vote against HB 2439 because subsection J has a part in it that is a violation of not only my Second Amendment right to the Constitution, but my 4th, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights to the Constitution. And if you don't take this out or vote it down, then I will spend the rest of my life making sure that you are not reelected. That is powerful to them. And just like you want to give them scorn when they deserve it, we also want to give them praise when they deserve it, because they're these political creatures, and these political creatures need positive and negative reinforcement to know what you want. This is your time. Who here loves New York? Who here loves their home, loves their family, loves the street they grew up on, the school they played sports with? I love my home and I'm not going anywhere, and neither should you. You should get out there and you should talk to those unregistered voters. You should talk to everyone with a concealed carry permit. You should talk to everyone at the range every single time you get a chance, and you should encourage them to get involved, because I do feel like a lot of folks, no matter where you are in the United States, just feel like it's not enough, that they don't trust the system, they don't trust the counts, they don't trust anything, and they think it's over already, and they're hanging up their hat and they're hanging up their coat. And I say, nay, I'm going to fight till my dying breath, and I will not go quietly into that good night, because I am here to stand up for America like I've done before and like I'll do again. Thank you all very much. My name is Alex Shea with Gun Owners of America, and let's get our next talker up here. Who do we got? Who's speaking next? Is it Matt or is it Dan? Dan Was, that's right.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Was. I'm a Second Amendment writer. I also work directly with GOA on a lot of things. I was thinking about this event the past couple of days, and I was pretty excited. I was like, wow, this is going to be good. I'll go to Kingston, we'll talk to some fellow patriots, and we'll talk about guns and stuff, and we'll hopefully try to figure out what we're going to do here in New York. And as soon as I got in the truck this morning, I come from Saratoga, so I had about an hour and a half ride, I started getting pissed, because we shouldn't have to do this. We shouldn't have to defend our God-given rights that are enshrined in our Constitution by our founding fathers, but yet here we are because we have tyrants running our state. So I asked myself, how does this happen? How do we get to this point? And there's a lot of reasons, but I want to focus on a couple today. There are people living among us. They might be your co-workers, your next door neighbor, even some of your family members, maybe your liberal niece and nephew who are voting against your rights. These are fellow citizens voting against our rights, taking rights away, doing everything they can to take rights away from their fellow citizens. And it's because we have this anti-gun culture. The mindset of people in this country has changed. Some people in this country, not all of us. And so I always ask myself, well, what causes this? Why are people willing to do this? And I look at the overall gun narrative, and we start to see how people can get manipulated and how people can change their mind about guns and decide to vote against the Second Amendment. And it's this overall narrative. And so how does the narrative influence the way we think about guns in America? And it starts with terminology. So we hear these terms all the time, these anti-gun terms all the time, and I'm going to tell you a few, and you know them. Assault weapon. Where did this come from? You know, this came from the anti-gun lobby. You remember Dianne Feinstein holding up that AR-15 and saying, this is the problem, this is what we need to ban, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in. Bill Clinton said, we got to get these assault weapons off the streets. And these are terms that scare people who don't know any better. People who are not gun owners, they don't understand. They get scared. Assault weapon? I don't want assault weapons. What is this assault? And if you remember, Hillary Clinton would say things like, these automatic weapons, and she knew damn well that they weren't automatic weapons, they're semi-automatic, and she knew the difference. She was instructed on all this stuff. She knew the difference, yet she knew that if she said the word automatic weapons, people would envision bullets spraying and all this destruction and all this stuff. So she continued to use that term. So they use that term to influence the way we think about guns in America. Assault weapon. Weapons of war. When we think about war, what do we think about? What do we envision? We envision, at least I do, envision people dead on the battlefield, blood, chaos, destruction and death. So it makes sense for the anti-gun crowd to use this term, weapons of war. They want Sally Soccer Mom to believe that these so-called weapons of war are lurking around the cul-de-sac, gonna jump out at the backyard barbecue, and she gets scared. People who don't know any better get scared of this stuff. They don't know. They don't understand firearms like we do. Gun violence. Think about that term for a second. It's heinous what they've done. We all know what a gun is. My vision of a gun might be different than yours. And when I say the word gun, what do you envision? You might envision maybe a shotgun, maybe a AR-15, or I happen to envision a 1911. My brain is linked to envision a 1911 when I hear the word gun. I don't know how it happened, I don't know when it happened, but that's what I see. When I say the word violence, what movies do you play in your head? Violence. I envision physical brutality. A person hurting another person physically, whether that's punching and pounding, and that's what I envision as violence. You might see violence differently, but we all understand what violence is. So, what they did was they decided that they're going to help you envision the gun being violent. They took the two words and put them together. It's just word association. It's very simple. Gun violence. It takes the human being out of the equation, and it helps you see the gun being violent. Now that's going to scare Sally Soccer Mom to death. She doesn't understand that gun can't be violent. Common sense gun control. In other words, if you're not for this, you really don't have much common sense. You really need to get on board with this common sense gun control. It's to make you get on board. It's to make you feel like you are irrational if you don't support their gun control. So I asked myself, well, what is the driving force though? What causes people to hear this stuff and see this stuff on the news and go and take action? Because it's a stimulus response. You see the image, or you hear the term, and there's a stimulus, and then there's a response. We act because we are either scared or whatever it is. So we'll take action. And what's the action? Usually it means go down and vote for the politician that promises you safety. I'm so interested in the motivation. What makes human beings do what we do? Why do we do what we do? And it's usually emotionally reactive stuff. So I said, okay, so what are the strongest human emotions? What are they? What are the strongest human emotions?
Fear. Anger.
Fear, anger, yeah. What else?
Love.
Love. there's always someone in the room that says love, and you're not far off. You're right. People always say love is the strongest. Not everybody, but some people will always say love is the strongest human emotion. And I'll tell you, it's strong, but it's not. It's not the strongest. Fear and anger, or hate. Fear and hate, because with anger comes hate. So you can make just about anybody do just about anything if they're scared enough. And you can also make just about anybody do anything if they're pissed off enough. We saw the fear stuff with COVID. Right in our face we saw it. We understood. We saw the people in the grocery store. We understood fear. We could see it. They understand fear and hate, or anger, whichever way you want to look at that. And they use it to manipulate the way people act. That stimulus response again. So I'm fearful or I'm angry, there's going to be a response. I'm going to react. Somehow I'm going to do something, and that's what they want. So fear and hate, as soon as there's a killing, a school killing or a killing of any kind where there's a gun involved, what's the first thing they do? They show you that AR-15 or that bump stock or the pistol brace, and they make sure that you associate your fear that you're feeling in the moment with that device. Were you as scared the second time you saw the movie? No. You had the data. You had the information. You knew what was going to happen, right? So fear is interesting. If you notice, the anti-gun crowd will use fear in a way where they keep certain information from people. Not us. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about people who don't know any better. They purposely don't tell you the facts, and if they do tell you the facts, it's their facts, or it's their truth, and it's their statistics. It's Obama statistics, or it's stuff that comes from the CDC, or it's stuff that they have control over. They can manipulate the data, and they can give you information because we want information, and the people who are eating this stuff up think they're getting the right information, but they're really not. They really don't know. So along with fear, they use hate or anger. And it's directed at us, the gun owners. It's directed at GOA, NRA, Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition, all the gun rights groups. Anger and hatred is focused and aimed at us because they're told that we are intentionally and recklessly putting everyone in danger because we won't give up our guns. Those gun owners, they see these little children dying, but they won't give up their guns. Their guns are more important than these poor little innocent children. If I didn't know any better, I'd hate us too. But it's not true. We understand why we have guns. We understand how it links directly to our freedom. We understand also how it links directly to the way we can protect ourselves and our families. They don't know any of that. They don't care about that stuff. They're emotionally reactive. They're getting built up with their own fear and hatred and anger. They're getting false statistics, and they're voting against their fellow citizens. That's the stuff I wanted to talk about today, and I hope maybe we're thinking a little bit differently about what happens to the other side of this conversation and why we're in the position we're in today is because we don't always understand what's going on. We don't always understand the mindset, the strategies the anti-gunners use. We don't always get it.
So the Saugerties Fish and Game Club, in addition to several individual members, have a donation here of $3,490. So when you talk about grassroots, this is really where grassroots comes from. And this is to gun owners of America.
Hand it to Bill, please.
Okay. Fine.
This is incredible. This is incredible. We had no idea this was going down this way.
Appreciate it.
We thank you so much. This is exactly what we're talking about when we talk about getting involved, putting your money where your mouth is, no joke. And do not give up. Do not go quietly into the night. Get out there and tell your friends and family.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much. You people in the Hudson area I call it Eastern New York State, have been very active. We appreciate all you've done. I know very hard. And the gun clubs, Elmer and his group, and Connie and the Federation have been outstanding. We appreciate it. And we got to just keep on raising money. This is costing us. We're paying. They're using our tax money, as you know, against us. So keep passing the word around. We need more support. And thank you very much for the help.
Yeah. So those funds are specifically earmarked for the Gazzola case, and this is from one of the local clubs. For any of you who didn't catch that, one of the local clubs stepped up. The Saugerties Landowners, I'm sorry, Saugerties Fishing Game. I said landowners before. Saugerties Fishing Game, yeah. And that's part of the Ulster County Federated Sportsmen's Clubs, and the sportsmen's clubs have been really pushing hard to raise money for all of the GOA cases. It's just phenomenal that this club stepped forward with almost $3,500 there. So thanks to them again.